Hey everybody, how's it going? Last week, in my first video, we talked about the legends of Riftbound, which is, going to be the most important choice that you make whenever it comes down to choosing your deck. And we went through all of that, but there is another aspect of choosing your legend, right? Beyond just their ability and the colors that they give your deck access to. And that is the signature spells of those particular legends. So each of these spells can only be chosen by whoever's legend it is. So this first one here is Icathian Rain. This is, can't really see it very well right here, but it says signature spell Kaisa. Right, so only Kaisa can run this card. And because of the deck building restrictions that are present in the CRD, it's only a Kaisa legend that is blue and red. So it's another aspect that defines your legend's choice because they're going to be the only ones that have access to these particular cards. And so it's really cool. In my opinion, I'm a big fan of this signature spell system that the Riftbound developers have put into place. I do keep referring them to signature spells, but that's not entirely accurate. All of the ones that we have for the 12 original legends in the Origin set are spells, but it doesn't have to be limited to spells. It could be a signature unit, it could be a signature gear. We've already seen Tibbers, Spoiled in Annie, who I believe is a signature unit. Uh, Yes. So let's go ahead and jump in and talk about each of these, how they work with each of the legend, and which ones are awesome and which ones are maybe not as much. Although the signature spells are definitely seem to be meant to or designed to be higher power than most other cards, which makes sense. Another interesting aspect about these that's in the rules is that your deck is limited to 3 signature cards in total. So if we see in the future signature cards produced for legends, more signature cards produced for legends, and say Super Mega Death Rocket, and then there's also for Jinx, and then there's also some uh, monkey chomper cannon launcher. Uh, then you'd have to choose between how many copies of Super Mega Death Rocket and how many copies of Ultimate Monkey Chomper Launcher you're running in your deck, right? Because you can only have 3 total between the 2 cards. So yeah, let's go ahead and jump into it. We'll start here with Icathian Rain from Kaisa. It's an incredible spell for her. It costs 7 energy, 3 power of either Fury or Mind, and it does this. Says this: do this 6 times. Deal 2 to a unit. So if you were to expand it out, what it actually says is deal 2 to a unit, 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 deal 2 to a unit. 6 times. And so as you'll notice, there is no restriction on where that unit is, so these can target units that are in base. Each of these instances does require a target, so if you're looking at something like a something with deflect, like a Dead Bloom Predator or a Volibear Furious, you would have to target them each individual time that you want to deal 2 to them and then have to pay that deflect cost. So that is a downside to the way this thing works, but being able to just potentially clear out an entire board of little guys or stack up however many you need in order to clear out something big. Up to 12 damage is incredibly strong. If you have the Void Gate battlefield, then each of these instances will be increased by +1. So you can deal up to 18 damage on the Void Gate battlefield, which is pretty crazy. So it's just a really great board clear option that gives Kaisa a lot of flexibility when it comes to controlling the battlefield. One downside to it is it doesn't interact with the blue champion Kaisa very well because that one requires you to have points greater than whatever spell it is that you want to play. So in 1v1, if you're at 8 points, you've already won. So you'll never be able to use the blue champion to play Icathian Rain outside of two situations. Either you're running the battlefield ascendant steps that sets the points to win to 9, or you're playing in 2v2 where it's 11. Overall, this card's pretty crazy though. Next up, we have Stormbringer. I'm gonna try to keep my vocal cords from going out on me like they did last time. Stormbringer is Volibear's signature spell. I cannot wait to see this in person because it's going to be foil, because it's epic, and it's going to look absolutely glorious. I am for certain. But the spell itself, pretty crazy. So it's 6 energy, 2 power of either Fury or Body, and it says choose a friendly unit in your base. Deal damage equal to its might to all enemy units at a battlefield. Then move your unit here. So basically, it just clears a battlefield and then moves your unit there to score it. It's pretty crazy. So let's say you've got a. We'll just stick with the Volibear. The Volibear Furious, the red one. That it's in your base. You play Stormbringer. It deals 9 damage to every enemy unit that is at that battlefield, which should kill pretty much anything that's in the game. Then moves your Volibear into that battlefield, allowing you to score it. It's really good, really strong, hard to deal with. There's only, for both of these, the only thing that can counter them currently is Wind Wall. We'll see if we get some more counter spells to deal with, big crazy stuff like this in the future. But allows you to really extend with your Volibear, your big bodies, and really take advantage of them. Gives you the option for a couple, movement shenanigans and things like that, which Volibear doesn't have a ton of. Although we are getting more and more things in red and orange that are allowing you to ready things and things of that nature. So overall, really crazy, really good. Basically, sending giant chunky units screaming at your opponent, screaming bloody murder is a lot of fun. Next up, we have the ubiquitous Super Mega Death Rocket for Jinx. It is 4 energy and 1 power. Deal 5 to a unit. As you'll see, it does not specify at a battlefield, so it can be anywhere. And then when you conquer, you may discard 1 to return this from your trash to your hand. So this card gives Jinx a lot of flexibility throughout the game, being able to just ping something somewhere for 5 and potentially kill it, most of the time killing it, because 5 is kind of a watermark stat point for might in the game. And then going and conquering something and being able to discard a not great card in order to bring this back to your hand, just being able to do this consistently throughout the game gives Jinx a lot of staying power throughout the entire game. A lot of flexibility. It really helps empower her into being either, normally she's a super aggro deck, but she can also really pull back and play more of a tempo control play style where she takes advantage early and then, through constant use of Super Mega Death Rocket and good trades and some other things, really fall into more like a control-y, tempo-y type play style as well. So this card's super good. Everybody's afraid of it, and it is basically the reason that 5 is such an important threshold within the game. Next up, we have Noxian Guillotine. The art on this is just absolutely insane. I mean, this thing just getting cleaved in half like this is crazy. But this is Darius's signature spell. I've been playing around with Darius a lot. He's super fun. I like him a lot. I talked about it in the last video. For 4 energy and 1 power, it is an action, which means that you can play it on your turn or in showdowns. You can choose a unit and then kill it the next time it takes damage this turn. Or if you've activated Legion, which is really what Darius is built all around, is the Legion keyword, kill it now instead. So you play a card, then you play Noxian Guillotine, and you pick a unit that's on the board and you kill it. Pretty much in the story there. Um, Being able to just kill something anywhere on the board at your leisure is just incredibly strong. I don't really have anything more to say about this card. It is what it is. Um, One thing to notice about or to take note of is defy, right, and whether cards can or cannot be defied. So Super Mega Death Rocket and Noxian Guillotine are both within Defy's definition of 4 energy and no more than 4 energy and no more than 1 power. So both of these can be defied, which is unfortunate, but it is what it is. So if you're not if it's costs more energy, then again that makes the card more expensive. Or if it costs more power, then again it makes it more expensive, just in a different way. So it's just kind of something you gotta deal with. It is unfortunate that both of these are at the very top end of Defy's ability, so it's going to get maximum value if they are able to defy one of these two. Next up, we have Foxfire, which was a very hotly debated card. It was considered the worst signature spell available for a while, just because of the way it works. So we'll get into it. It's 3 energy, no power, which is very nice. It has hidden and action, so it can be hidden or just played as an action spell. It's Ari's, if I haven't said so. And then it says kill any number of units at a battlefield with total might 4 or less. Now, some people, saw that and thought, oh, I can kill everything that has less than 4 might at the battlefield. No, 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 no. It's you target things that have up to 4 might in value and those die. Now, there wasn't, obviously Ari Legend's ability, whenever something comes in while you're defending, gets -1 might. So that was helpful and useful for Foxfire, and we also had Stupefy to help neg the might on things, which made it a little bit better. But overall, this card just didn't feel that great until we got Blue Ari yesterday. And Blue Ari says when attacking or defending, give something -2 might. So that extra -2 is like a huge threshold, because now if your opponent's attacking into your Ari and you've got Foxfire hidden here, then between Ari Legend, Ari Champion, and the Foxfire, you're able to kill up to 7 mites worth of stuff, which is way better than the 4 or 5 might that it was previously. So the fact that this doesn't have any energy costs, is pretty cheap and can be hidden, and we now have more ways of manipulating our opponent's might. Foxfire is getting much, much better as a card. Now let's talk about Dragon's Rage, which is Lee Sin's signature spell. It's 4 energy and 1 power, so again, falls within Defy's optimum range of countering. And what it says here is move an enemy unit, then choose another enemy unit at its destination. They deal damage equal to their mights to each other. So currently with the targeting rules and stuff, the only thing here that you target is the move an enemy unit. So once you play this, you target what it is that you're planning on move, and then your opponent has to decide from there, has to anticipate where you're moving and then what you're going to have it fight in order to kind of react to this. Because once you start resolving it, then they can't do anything about it, right? Which is kind of cool. So you move an enemy unit, then once it's at its destination, it fights something. So this is incredibly powerful if you're able to like bounce something off of a battlefield that you're wanting to conquer, and if this into your opponent's base, and then it fights something in the base and kills something. Phenomenal. It can be played around though with not having units in 2 separate places. by your opponent either having everything in base or everything on a particular battlefield. So even like in that situation where you're not able to take maximum advantage of it, it is changing the way that your opponent plays and forcing them into a particular playstyle. And then there's also, if they do that, you still do have the option of, since you're in green, of playing Charm to move something somewhere else and then Dragon's Rage them in order to do that, or to just use Dragon's Rage as a very expensive charm just to get something to wherever it is that you want it to go. Very flexible card, potentially very powerful, and is going to change. Your opponent has to respect it, and so it's going to change how it is that they play the game in anticipation of this card. Next up, we have Last Breath, which is an absolutely gorgeous card. This is another one that I cannot wait to see in person. It just looks phenomenal. Um, for it is Yasuo's signature spell for 3 and 2 power. As an action, you may ready a friendly unit. It deals damage equal to its might to an enemy unit at a battlefield. Now, something to note here, when it comes to targets and the way that the rules work is that in order to play this spell, you need to have all targets. So if your opponent does not have a unit at a battlefield, or if you don't have a unit, you can't do this thing anyways. But if your opponent does not have a unit at a battlefield, you cannot play Last Breath, so you cannot just play it just to ready one of your units if that is something that you are wanting to do. Which can be the case, especially with the new purple Yasuo, who wants to be moving around all over the place to score you extra points. But your opponent has to have something at a battlefield in order for you to play this card. Other than that, it's phenomenal. Ready a friendly unit, so that means you can either play something and then play this, and then it's immediately ready, and then you can use Yasuo shenanigans to move things around, and then gank or do whatever. But then it's also a nice, removal piece. Deals damage equal to its might to an enemy at a battlefield. So if something, if your opponent's attacking you, then this is an action. You can play it. Deal whatever your highest unit's might is to that thing. Hopefully kill it. If you've got buffs and things of that nature, then those will work as well. You play the Last Breath, then you play On Guard or Discipline or whatever. Give it bonus might, and then smack something, right? So it's a really, really useful in a variety of situations. Very powerful card. Yes. Next up, we have Zenith Blade for my girl Leona. I love this card. I love her. Um, and just everything about this makes me happy. So, similarly with Last Breath, it is 3 and 2 power. And it is Leona's signature spell. It is an action, and it says stun an enemy unit at a battlefield. You may move a friendly unit to that enemy unit's battlefield. So my opponent has a unit at a battlefield. I say you are stunned, and this is going to come attack you, and that is what happens. It's awesome because you've got your stun synergies with the Leona legend applying buffs. We just got the Fiora reveal earlier today, where she's 4 might, and then when she gets to 5 might, she gains ganking and deflect and shield, and so you can play her, play Zenith Blade, buff her with Leona, and then all of a sudden she's got all these extra keywords and stuff. Or if you played her last turn, she's ready, which is even better. Zenith Blade her into somewhere, it stuns something, she kills that, she survives, then she uses the ganking that she now has to jump over to the other battlefield and fight over there. Really, really cool. Awesome synergies and things of that nature. Also, Zenith Blade and Last Breath, since they cost 2 power, cannot be defied, which is really, really nice for them. I will talk about this real quick when it comes to moving a unit with this as an action on your opponent's turn. So if it's on your opponent's turn, there's two situations. It's either a combat where you're holding, or it is an open battlefield. So if it's a combat where you're holding and your opponent is attacking into you and you're defending, then you can just Zenith Blade and your unit's just going to join the battle, right? One of their units will get stunned, your unit joins the battle. Good times all around. Nothing special there. When it comes to moving into an open battlefield, it gets a little more complicated with the way the rules work. So basically, what's going to happen is you play this as an action. You're going to stun their unit and then move your unit onto that battlefield. Combat cannot initiate at that point because there is an existing showdown happening. So a combat showdown is going to be pending. Then the current open showdown will continue. So since you just played an action, the focus will then pass to your opponent. They can play an action. If they remove whatever unit that you played to the battlefield, then whatever, it is what it is. That unit's gone, the combat never happens, right? But then the open showdown will complete. At the end of it, the battlefield is still contested, and so your opponent will not conquer and score a point at the end of that open showdown. Then the combat showdown will begin, and in this case, your opponent is the attacker since they're the ones that caused the battlefield to be contested, and you are the defender. Uh, which, say you're Zenith Blading a Leona in, that means that you won't get to stun something with the Leona's when attacking effect, but you will get the +1 might from Leona's shield because she's a defender. Then combat ensues as normal. The interesting thing here is that if you win the combat, then you score the point, right? Also, because of the way stuns and stuff work, and with you being determined as the defender, say your opponent has a 8 might Lee Sin, they buffed up a bunch, and you send in your 4 +1 +1 6 might Leona, but you stun the Lee Sin. Lee Sin can't deal you any damage. Your Leona can't kill the Lee Sin. And because of the way that the rules work, since the Lee Sin is the attacker, at the end of the combat, he will get recalled back to base, and your Leona will stay there and will then score and conquer that battlefield, which is pretty wild, but we have had the devs confirm that that is how things work. Next up, we have Guerrilla Warfare 4 Teemo. For 2 and 1 power, you may return up to 2 cards with hidden from your trash to your hand. You can hide ignoring costs this turn. Last sentence is a little weird, but you can basically use the hide action in order to place hidden cards for free this turn. It is a slow spell. You can only play it on your turn, but it gives you recursion. You can bring things back that have died previously, play them out for free. Really strong, especially with the Bandle Tree battlefield that we saw that allows you to place 2 hidden things at 1 battlefield. So that way, in order to get maximum effect out of this, you don't have to control both battlefields. As long as you control the Bandle Tree, you can play this, drop 2 hidden things down, and then boom, there you go, which is really, really nice. Then we have Siphon Power for Victor, one of the strongest combat tricks in the game, especially for his particular playstyle of going wide. We have 2 and 1 blue. It is a reaction. It says choose a battlefield, give friendly units their +1 might this turn, and enemy units their -1 might this turn to a minimum of 1. So basically, if you go in with a whole bunch of units, a whole bunch of little tokens, say you got 4 of them, you play this, they're all going to go to 2 mights. Now you've got 8 might there, and then however many units your opponent has there, each gets minus might. So it can be a huge swing in your favor when it comes to combat and total might at that particular place. One thing worth noting is that it's a snapshot, as all things are. All of these types of effects are in Riftbound. So all of your units that are there will have +1 might for the turn. All of your enemy units that are there will have -1 might for the turn. But if any more units move to that battlefield from either one, they're not going to be affected by this. Their might's going to stay the same. Okay. Then we have Bullet Time, which is a really crazy card. Has a lot of things that it can do with various cards that are in the game. This is Misfortune's signature spell, and it's really simple. Pay 1 energy to play the spell. It is action timed, so you can play it during a showdown. And then once it resolves, you do the following. Pay any amount of power to deal that much damage to all enemy units at a battlefield. So you don't choose how much power you pay until you're actually resolving it. So your opponent has to decide, um, how much they're going to buff their units or whether they are or not, or make any of those decisions, not knowing how much damage you're going to actually put onto all the units of the battlefield, and it is every unit, every enemy unit at the battlefield. Um, so yeah, very very crazy. You can also do like stuff where you just pay 1 and then 1 power with a Warwick on the board. So pay 1 energy, pay 1 power, deal 1 damage to every enemy unit there, and then you move your Warwick in, and then his ability triggers, and all damage units there die. So it's a really really strong combo that Misfortune has available to her. But this thing basically just saying, as long as it doesn't get countered, I can clear the board whenever I want, or clear a battlefield whenever I want. It is pretty crazy. Especially with all of her units with ganking and things of that nature, and various readying effects that she has available to her. It really allows her. It makes it really difficult unless you can counter this to stop Misfortune from, getting those last 2 points that she needs, or last point from a conquer. Finally, we have Showstopper, which is 1 and a power for set. Buff a friendly unit in your base, then move it to a battlefield. Very simple, but very cheap and very useful. So Set really cares about things having buffs, so he can take advantage of that ability we went over last week, where he's able to spend a buff and a power in order to recall a unit back from base instead of it being back to base instead of it dying. So with this, not only does it let you move things very cheaply, but it also applies that buff, which at just the +1 might be all that you need, but then also having synergy with Set, and then whatever other buff abilities are available to him in the future is also really really strong. So it's very cheap, does exactly what Set needs it to do. Very very good card for his deck for sure. So that's all the signature spells. I just kind of wanted to give you my thoughts, especially since they're so important to the decks and the legend choices, because they really help further define those legends and their play styles and what it is that you can do and what it is that you're looking to do with those particular decks. They're all unique and fun, and generally fairly powerful for their costs. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you do, do the normal YouTube stuff, like, follow, subscribe, whatever. And I'll catch y'all next time. Bye.